Welcome to our continuing videos on solutions for page 404. On this video we'll be dealing with number 21 and number 23. So if we look at the start of the problem, it only gives us a negative 13 pi over 12. Now when we're trying to solve these, we're looking for values of radians that we're comfortable with or familiar with. Those that are over 6, over 4, and over 3, meaning 30 degrees, 45 degrees, and 60 degree problems. So in my first step here, I rewrite that 13 as a composite of 9 pi and 4 pi. Again, 9 pi, 4 pi equaling 13 pi. I leave the negative outside of this parentheses, and so I just sort of split the fraction up. Once I split this fraction up, I'm able to then do my reductions, and you'll see 3 pi over 4 and pi over 3, which is giving us a 45 degree angle and a 60 degree angle. So let us begin this process. We are asked to then, for A, find the sine of this negative 13 pi over 12. And again, I'm going to remind you of our functions being odd or even. Sine is an odd function, so it is really writing sine of 13 pi over 12. 13 pi over 12 then will be replaced with my new identity here, which tells us sine of 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 3. Now, this will give us some insight to solutions where we're going to use our identity or our formula. Our formula is a sum formula. So we, in our sum formula, we will have then negative sine of 3 pi over 4 times cosine of the second, which is pi over 3. Adding to that then the cosine of our 3 pi over 4, which is the first, times our sine of pi over 3. Now remember or recall that we have the negative here out front. We should be able to come up with some values for sine 3 pi over 4, cosine pi over 3, cosine 3 pi over 4, and sine pi over 3. So our values then would be, for the sine, a radical 2 over 2, and then a multiplication of 1/2. Then continuing on with our substitution, we will have for our cosine 3 pi over 4 a value of negative radical 2 over 2, which shouldn't surprise us because that is a 45 degree angle, and we have the radical 2 over 2 associated with those. The sine pi over 3 will then come out as a value of radical 3 over 2. It seems to be a common practice here where we get this radical 2 over 4, and in this case it's going to be subtract the radical 6 over 4. This is all again with a subtraction or a negative sign on the outside, which gives me a negative radical 2 plus radical 6 all over 4. That is our answer. You could have it written in a couple other ways, but that's the way I'm most comfortable with. Now we will take a look at B for cosine of that same negative 13 pi over 12. And this time cosine is an even function, so that is the same as just having cosine 13 pi over 12. Once again, that is because we have a even function as cosine. So we'll split this up in its sum and difference form. So I have cosine of 3 pi over 4 plus pi over 3, leaving me with cosine of 3 pi over 4 times cosine of pi over 3 minus, now remember that that's the opposite when we're working with the sum and difference formulas for cosine, minus the sine of that 3 pi over 4 times sine of pi over 3. Now it's a process of substituting in values from our trig chart. The values we're going to substitute in at this time then will be a negative radical 2 over 2, and we're going to multiply that by 1/2. We are subtracting then, well, the sine of 3 pi over 4 comes out to be a radical 2 over 2, and that's times a radical 3 over 2. Common denominators going to give us a negative radical 2 over 4, subtract a radical 6 over 2. Surprise, surprise, we keep seeing these two come up in our exact answers. And, sorry, that should be over a 4. And when we work this out, we can rewrite it as a negative on the outside of radical 2 plus radical 6 all over 4. Again, we might find that they factor out a radical 2 over 4 negative, leaving us with then a 1 plus radical 3. So don't be surprised if you see that as an answer, but I prefer the first. So should you. No, I'm just kidding. You don't have to prefer it. Looking at our last problem, 23 for this video, we are seeing a sum or difference that has already been performed. And so really I could assign u to my 25 degrees and v to my 15 degrees. Notice that remains consistent in the second half of this formula. Therefore, I know that with cosine, I would have a cosine of u, in this case, plus v. Now what is my u? Well, that is 25 degrees. My v would give me an addition of 15 degrees. If I put these two together, I really have a cosine of, well, 25 plus 15 is going to give us our, let's see, 30, 40 degrees. And that actually, in fact, is our answer, cosine of 40 degrees, because the directions are asking us to put it in form of cosine or sine or tangent of an angle. And this is what we have. Now notice in your directions it said or, so we're not doing 3 problems like we did in the preceding problems. We're just doing what it's asking for. I needed to come up with some cosine identity because that's what I recognize is happening up on top. 25, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about this one, but I want to get you started. You will see this as a tangent of 325 minus a tangent of 86 degrees, and that is all over 1 minus tangent of 325 times our tangent of 86. I'll make sure I put my degree notes on there. And I recognize this as the sum or difference working with the tangent. So I know I'm going to be working with tangent x. That's what I'm looking for. So I would see the 325 as my u, the 86 as my v. So what I'm really looking for is tangent of u plus v. I think that was supposed to be an addition. Therefore, I have my tangent of 325 degrees plus 86 degrees. And if I do a quick addition of that, whoa, this was a minus up here. And if that in fact is a subtraction, I'm going to have to see this as a subtraction here, which will give me tangent of 239 degrees. Okay, that's the benefit. You get to watch this video and get an extra problem answered. So the original fixed looked like this. So this is the original. If I don't write the original down, I can't possibly write the proper sum and difference. But now we have it. We're set, and good luck.